Start small. Do what you can do. If you can only walk to the end of your driveway, walk to the end of your driveway. Walk to get the mail, take a walk with your dog, go to the park, walk to the first tree you see and walk back. If that's all that you can do, awesome. Do that. But be consistent.
That was Derek Mitchell, and this is the Yogi Triathlete Podcast. Hello, Yogi Triathlete Podcast listeners. Thank you for returning for another episode. My name is Jess, and I am your weekly guide here at the YTP, a show where we share the lives of people who are looking, finding, and living their purpose. Now, I've been talking a lot about this purpose thing. I believe it was last week that I promised you all that we all have one. In fact, that we are all placed here on this earth with a divine hope that we will, in fact, find out what the heck it is that we're supposed to do here. And I just want to make one thing clear. This purpose thing, it's not always pretty, and it's not always enjoyable. In fact, it's the scariest pursuit I've ever taken on, and it's filled with challenge, but I believe this is so that our humanness will get peeled away, right? That we no longer rely on the black and white of data and information, but that we are led beyond the physical world and into the divine. Now, that said, just know that purpose doesn't have to be a New York Times bestseller or helping people in war-torn countries or having 20,000 Instagram followers. Although for some people, those will be the characteristics of their purpose. But I guess what I'm saying is that what I want you to know is that purpose is found in every moment. It's found in the mundane, and it's within that our opportunity lies for mastery. And mastery and purpose go hand in hand. And if your purpose is to be a street sweeper or a musician or a restaurant owner or the president, just do it with everything you are. Everything you are. There's no purpose that's greater than another. And know that only through living each moment as fully as we can will we be guided to what our purpose is in each breath we take. It's multi-layered and it is multifaceted, and it's yours and mine and theirs to find out. And many times it can feel like a battle, but it's will and faith and belief in ourselves that when we are aligned, there's no stopping us from being exactly who we decided to be before we even came into this world. It was back in September that I first saw Derek Mitchell's video, and it was in that exact present moment that I was paying attention and that I knew we would connect with him on the show. But at the time, we had no plans of traveling through Kansas City, but we trusted. We trusted that it would reveal itself when all was in right order. And it wasn't long after this that a series of reroutes occurred on our trip. Big surprise. And a trickle-down effect from one thing to another now had us passing directly through Kansas City the following month. We knew without question that it was all because we were to meet up with Derek and share his story. And so we did. Derek Mitchell is an athlete, and he is someone who is becoming a master of the 5K distance. Never his plan, of course, but after stepping on the scale during a doctor's visit in November of 2014, which revealed the truth of his weight of 625 pounds, Derek knew without a doubt it was time to put the excuses aside and take charge of his health. And so, like millions of others looking for a new start in January, the first of the year rolled around, and Derek began a new chapter in his life. His resolutions: quit soda, eat healthier, and reduce his portion sizes. He came out of the gate with a bang in 2015, and although his cravings for soda were intense, he stuck to his choice for change. His sister, a marathon runner, saw a missing piece in Derek's plan and encouraged him to start exercising. What happened from there has gained Derek national media attention and drawn tens of thousands of supporters to his Facebook page. Derek has discovered the gift of movement, the power of community, and the limitless chain of inspiration. He is so genuine and generous with his story in hopes that it may help spark a change within others. But also he uses his own story for his own inspiration. Derek is without a doubt living his purpose and without a doubt fully in the battle. He has faced fear and failure and success and joy. He's pushed through massive amounts of pain, ended up in an ambulance, and injured himself. But without these failures, these quote-unquote failures, Derek questions, how can we ever experience true success? Derek is willing to be vulnerable, something that so many of us resist at all costs. I know I did for decades. He is willing to get uncomfortable, and he's willing to fail. These are the characteristics that creates a person of purpose, and we are so excited to share with you today the Derek Mitchell story.
Yeah, if you ever question my nerdity, I've got that.
What's that?
There was a show, it's from a TV show. There was a movie. Do you remember a movie called Stargate?
Yeah.
Yes.
Way back in the 90s?
Yes.
Yeah, way
And
back
then-
in the 90s
Way
when
back.
when I was in college. Yeah.
And then Stargate SG-1, the series that ran for 10 years.
Yeah.
That was based off of the show.
Yep.
That's the home symbol for Earth
Oh, I love it.
from the show. And then, have you guys seen my other tattoo? My
With
5K
the
tattoo?
5K tattoos. I saw
With
it on a video.
Pac-Man?
Love it.
Pac-Man?
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
That's kind of my nod to, the old 8-bit video games that I grew up with.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love
arcade
those
style
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man.
I always used to love going out to dinner with my parents because they would have a Pac-Man. A lot of times they would have like
Pac-Man at
those
the
like
flat table, yeah.
Pac-Mans, yeah, and we could always go and play with that. All right, so this is a good segue right into the 5Ks. We're gonna get into your story and all that stuff, but you have a tattoo on your leg,
Yes.
and every time you complete a 5K, you add to it.
Well, I'm trying to add it in batches just because it's a certain price for like per hour.
Right.
And so I don't want to pay like $60 to get one dot.
Right.
So I need to, right now it's sitting at 37, I think the tattoo is, and I just finished number 47 since last March, this past Sunday. So within the next couple weeks, I need to get my tattoo updated to the correct number of squares that Pac-Man's going to eat.
And so when I was looking at your schedule, you're a busy dude. So you're working full time.
Yes.
I love this because it's gonna lead into our there are no excuses, people. Get out there and move. So that's where we're going, everyone. But you're working full time. Plus, you told me you're doing kind of like a second job where you're doing the quiz at the pub,
quiz.
which is awesome.
That's
And
one night a week, yeah.
and it looks like you're traveling almost every weekend for a 5K. Is that correct?
Just about. I mean, at the first half of the year, I was really busy, and then I got kind of a break during the summer. And this past weekend, I was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This coming up weekend, I'll be in Atlanta. And then I have three traveling races scheduled in November. I'll be in Hollywood Beach, Florida, and then Philadelphia, and then Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, cool. That's where we just came from
we
today.
Just spent 3 weeks there.
So
nice.
the whole reason why we're sitting across from you right now, not only because you emailed us right back and was like, I'm in. We were I think we were in Asheville, North Carolina at the time, and a good friend of mine sent me your video on Facebook. And so when I saw your video, it was just so clear to me that you have a huge purpose on this earth and you're now living it. For you, how you were really brought out into this world to start serving your purpose was around a doctor's visit back a couple years ago. Is that correct?
It was actually 6 years ago. I went to a doctor. It's kind of a long story leading up to my journey, but I was working at a place down in Springfield, Missouri, and I started getting really bad headaches and blurry vision, and it was an over-the-phone tech support position, and I was on the phone with a customer, and I blacked out in the middle of the conversation.
Oh my gosh.
And I woke up on the ground with people surrounding me, and so I went to the doctor, and they heard blurry vision, headaches, bloody. I also had some bloody noses and blackout. And so they immediately did an MRI, and they found that I had or currently have it's a non-cancerous tumor called a prolactinoma, and it sits on my pituitary gland, and it secretes an enzyme called prolactin that blocks my body's ability to produce testosterone. And my doctor said that testosterone is aside from it controls mood, it controls energy levels, it controls drive, but the big thing is it controls metabolism. And he said that people with those types of tumors and obesity just kind of go hand in hand, that it's very difficult for someone with those types of tumors to lose weight. And so they put me on a medication to shrink the tumor. It's one of the very rare tumors that can actually be shrunk by medication. And so at the time that I was taking that for the past 5 years, I was basically using that as the hormone imbalance as an excuse to basically say, well, I don't have to work out and I don't have to try to eat right. I'll wait until my hormones are in balance and they're leveled out correctly, and then I'll start trying to get the weight off, the normal way.
Right, just a different way to say, like, I'll start on Monday.
Yeah.
Or I'll start on January 1st.
It was basically a huge procrastination. It was me using that as a crutch. And I went to the doctor in November of 2015 for kind of a checkup and everything. And I started getting big when I was supposed to go through puberty when I was about 13, 14 years old. When I was little, I was super skinny, hyperactive. I played every sport known to man. I played basketball, I played soccer, I played baseball. I was super active. And then when I hit 13 or 14, when I was supposed to go through puberty, my mom just said I just basically slowed down. And I spent more time on the couch inside than I did going outside. And over the years, I just got progressively heavier. And when I went to the doctor in November of 2014, and they put me on the scale, and I was at 625 pounds. And that was the heaviest I had ever been. And when I saw that number on the scale, it was just kind of, I'm not waiting for my hormones anymore. And so it started off really simply with a New Year's resolution to cut out soda. I wanted to stop drinking soda, and I wanted to start trying to eat healthier meals, smaller portion sizes, and so I used that as a New Year's resolution. And so January 2015, I cut out soda, cold turkey. I started going for salads. I started doing smaller portion sizes. And my sister was a former marathon runner and roller derby girl. She ran the Chicago Marathon in 2010. And she said, it's great that you're making these kind of changes, but you need to add physical exercise. You need to at least just get out there and walk. And so I just started walking around my neighborhood. I started with a block, and it was kind of funny because my mom said I got back from the walking around the block, and she thought I was having a heart attack, just because, it wasn't what my body was used to. But I kept getting out there, kept, walking, going out every night, and pretty soon I was going up to 2 blocks, 3 blocks, and there was a stoplight that was down the road from my house, and that was kind of like my beginning goal. I started walking on January 15th. That was the first day that I went out for a walk in my neighborhood. And I don't remember when I made it to that stoplight, but I remember, I wish we still had this selfie, because I took a selfie with the stoplight and sent it to my mom. Like, I made it to the stoplight.
I'm here. Can you come pick me? Can you come pick me up?
I actually did make it back, and I found out that from my house to the stoplight was 3/4 of a mile. And
so it was a mile and a half.
It was a mile and a half. And I got to where I was averaging around 2 miles a day. And so my sister, again, she's like, why don't we sign you up for a 5K as a way to help keep you motivated to work out every day? Help keep you motivated to keep getting out there, keep walking so that you're ready for the 5K. And because we'd actually done a 5K as a family back in 2011 down in Joplin. And so I knew I could do one. I mean, that one took me just shy of 2 hours. And
got it done.
I knew I could do one. And so I signed up for the Big 12 5K here in Kansas City. And so I got out, and when I was doing the workouts and continuing to walk and everything, getting ready for that first 5K, we decided why not just kind of extend that throughout the year. And my original goal for 2015 was to do, starting in March, do a 5K a month through the rest of the year as a way to help keep me motivated to keep walking. And so I did the first 5K of 2015 in March here in Kansas City. And while I was out on the course, unbeknownst to me, my mom was talking me up to the race announcer, the guy who announces people's names and everything. And he was good friends with one of the newscasters for Fox 4 News here in Kansas City. And so he got my story to them. And by the following Monday, I had done an interview with them. And then that got picked up nationally, and I did an interview with Runner's World Magazine. And that's when everything started snowballing.
At that first 5K?
From the first 5K.
So it was so validating that you were doing exactly what you were supposed to be doing.
And this was 2015?
This is 2015. This is last year.
Okay.
And so I did 5K in March, I did 1 in April, and then I did 2 in May, and then I did 3 in June, and it just kind of it snowballed from there. And I actually finished off, my original goal for 2015 was going to be 10 5Ks, which was a 5K a month starting in March, going through December. I ended up 2015 with 21 5Ks, 2 10Ks, and half of a Tough Mudder. I made it halfway through the St. Louis Tough Mudder.
Nice.
How did you get involved in that one?
There was actually a really good friend of mine named Pedro. He contacted me and he kept egging me on to get out there and said that, Tough Mudder Nation, leave no mudder behind. It doesn't matter what it takes. We'll get you through. And so it was one of the worst and one of the best experiences of my life, like all coupled together. I encountered 7 obstacles. I attempted 6 obstacles, and I completed 5 obstacles. And
Wow.
When we get done here, I'll show you a video that you guys can, if you want, you can share on your podcast.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
Of what he calls the trailer, which he's working on another video of me at the 5K, but it's a really very inspirational video that he made that I've watched it like 100 times, and I tear up every single time just because of the way he made the video, and it's really cool.
I love it. You're serving as your own inspiration.
Yep.
Right? Because nobody's going to do this except for you.
Yep.
Right?
And I'm actually, I've been talking to some other people, and I think I'm going to go back to St. Louis next year in October, because they just did the Tough Mudder like a couple weeks ago. And so, in St. Louis. And so I think I'm going to go 2017, and we're going to get another group together and do it again.
Do you feel like you have some unfinished business with the Tough Mudders?
Possibly, yeah. I want to see if I can make it, more than 7 obstacles, at least, more than 5 miles, because it's a 10-mile obstacle course, and I made it 5 miles, so.
Awesome.
So do you feel, so that sounds like that was out of the norm, like you're doing these 5Ks and then 10Ks, and then Tough Mudder seems to be something new. So it sounds like you have no fear, like you're open to possibilities and doing some
the way I
different
figure
events.
it, I'll try anything once. I mean, the worst that I can do is fail. And one of my favorite phrases is that someone told me is a dead last finish beats a did not finish beats a did not start. And so even if I finish last, I still finished. Mm-hmm. Even if I didn't finish, I still started it. And so, there's always ways that I can, because I've had a couple races that I did a 5K here in Kansas City that I was not prepared for the mugginess. It was the Rock the Crossroads. I did it last year. This year it was way hotter and muggier than I was expecting. I got a mile into it, and I ended up in the ambulance with IV in my arm and cold compresses on my neck and under my armpits because I got overheated. They gave me my medal, even though I didn't think I deserved it because I didn't cross the start and the finish line. But that medal is still at home. In my mind, I have an asterisk next to it. It's that I was out there, but I didn't finish. And it's not one of my count that my current count that's going to go on my tattoo, but I still got out there. And so, I DNF'd, but I still started. So
yeah, I think getting out there, just getting to the starting line, just getting there, to get into the pool, to get out the front door, like those are major wins. And I think we get caught up in the whole, fulfilling the end result and the timing of everything. But I think just getting out there.
And I think that's one of the biggest fears, at least that people have talked to me about. They're afraid that they don't want to be the biggest person out there. They don't want to be the slowest person out there. They don't want to finish last. What a lot of people don't know about the running community is just absolute. There's so much support. I mean, I've never been at a race ever in my life and heard negativity and heard people complaining about, somebody who came in last or complaining about this, that, and the other. I have, when I did an interview with Kansas City Star, and they asked me what I expected the response to be. And to be honest, I know that there's a lot of positive people out there, but I also know there's some negative people. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that's just the world we live in. And so they asked me what I expected the response to a person of my size getting out there and doing all these races. And in my mind, when my story first started getting out there, my percentage in my head was, I figured it was going to be about 75% positive and 25% negative. Even to this day, it's closer to about 97% positive and 3% negative. I mean, it's just so overwhelmingly positive that the negative numbers just kind of, it's negligible. And you get overwhelmed by this positivity and this encouragement. And, that's what I love about social media is you have all these running groups and all these different people that just inspire you so much that it makes you want to keep getting out there. And so 2015, my goal was 10 races, and I did 21. And so 2016, I decided to go for a loftier goal. And so my goal this year has been 35Ks. And as of this past weekend, I've completed 26. I've completed 26 5Ks.
Wow.
So you on schedule to blow away that goal of 30?
Well, just the ones that I already have booked, I'll hit 30. But, I mean, because I'll have this weekend in Atlanta, and then I have, so that's 27. Hollywood Beach, Florida is 28. Philly is 29. Knoxville is 30. And then San Antonio in December is 31.
Okay.
So even just the ones that I already have booked, then I'm going to surpass the goal. I mean, I've got other weekends peppered in there that I can try to hit 35, but
yeah, it's good to set yourself up to, these are the ones that will get you to the number, and then whatever comes after that.
But I mean, now 2017, I have to go for like 40 or something. So
raise the bar.
Yeah.
And can people come and run with you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
See, most of the time when I'm out there, I love listening to music, just because it helps keep me moving and keep me going. But something I've found out that I love more than listening to music is I love talking to people. I love just hearing life stories, interacting with them, talking about my story, hearing about their story. I mean, I can put the music away and talk to them, and it just makes the 5K go so much quicker just talking back and forth with them.
So what you've been describing is this limitless chain of inspiration. Like, people look to you and they say, oh my gosh, you're such an inspiration. I saw your video and thought, oh my gosh, we have to bring him to our audience because he's so inspiring. But you're pulling inspiration from other people.
Oh yeah. I mean,
and I can only imagine that you're getting emails and stories from people who, you're going to get them from people who say, I'm too scared to start, but you're going to get them from people who say, I'm too scared to start, but I did it anyway.
One of the first messages that I got was from a lady who lives in Moberly, which is about a couple hours away. Her name is Tiffany. And she said that when my story first broke, she said that when she saw my story, she had signed up for her first 5K as a result of my story. Her and I have actually done 2 5Ks since then. We did the Glow Run here in Kansas City last year, and the Groundhog 5K here in Kansas City earlier this year, which is an awesome 5K because it's a 5K and a 10K that both start and end inside a cave. It is the only fully underground metered 10K in the world that is completely underground. It starts and ends. We have a office park here in Kansas City that it's all underground. Like there's businesses and everything, and this goes through the parking lots of that parking structure, and it's all in a cave underground.
What?
Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
awesome. And
This is crazy. That's so
Is it dark?
Oh no, they have it lit up. They have lights in the ceiling, and they have.
I'd be too scared to start,
electricity down
Derek.
in there.
I'd be too scared to start. I don't think I could do it.
It was funny because last year, I wasn't at it last year, but the stories they tell me last year is that, because it takes place in February, it goes around Groundhog Day. That's why it's called the Groundhog. And last year we had a huge ice storm around February. And so, but they still had the 5K because inside the cave it's like 60 degrees.
Right.
And so it was so funny because these people would show up, and they would show up in like huge parkas and everything.
That would be us.
And then they would get down into the cave, and then they would shed everything off and have the running tanks and the shorts and everything underneath it because it was like 60 degrees inside the cave.
So you inspired Tiffany, and since you guys have connected and you've shared experience together, it's so beautiful the way it all works. And what's her current? Is she still going with 5Ks?
She still does 5Ks. She does them locally. Sometimes if she can't get out to a 5K, she'll get on a treadmill and do a 5K there.
Good for her. That's amazing. And the other thing that I'm pulling out from you is that you have a very strong will, right? And so will is part of our minds that allow us to focus on something. And so for you, it's, that finish line or getting to the start line, whatever it is, it can change. It's very, it's pliable, but it's, you've got that goal. And what will allows us to do is it allows us to focus on that. Right? Like that is the end goal. So all the things that are going to come up between point A and point B, the fear, the doubt, the will that we have, we can see through all of that, and it supersedes all of these, emotions that we may be having, and a lot of emotions that keep people on the couch. So my question is, I think you were born with this because you're telling me you were athletic and active when you were younger. And so I want to dig in just a little bit here into your story. Like, did you feel a shift in your state of being, in that will, that drive, that motivation of life when you hit that age of 13? What happened there? Do you remember that time?
Honestly, I don't remember back that far, to when I was 13 or 14 years old. We just, I didn't know that I had a testosterone deficiency at the time.
Yeah.
Nobody knew to check for that. Nobody knew to check for a macroadenoma, prolactinoma, on your pituitary gland. And I just know that I don't know if I just became more complacent or what it was. I just didn't have the drive that I used to when I was younger. I mean, I just didn't want to. I wanted to stay inside and eat Little Debbie cakes and play video games, and I didn't want to go outside and be active. I was more comfortable staying inside. I honestly don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I'm sorry.
No, and what was the span of time between that started to hit and that change in your life to the time when you were diagnosed with the
I was diagnosed around when I was 30 years old.
Okay.
When I was so it was about 6 years ago.
Okay, so we're talking 17 years. 17 years that you were pretty sedentary in your life.
And I mean, I had tried different diets over the years, and all of them I would lose about 40 pounds, and then I would plateau, and then I would get upset, and then I would eat a half a carton of ice cream or something like that.
Yeah, that's a really common cycle for people. Diets are not the answer. It's a lifestyle change. It's a lifestyle change. Thank you very much. And your sister was so right on when she said, okay, the soda's great, you're not doing that anymore, but you need to move. It's a package deal. Wellness is a package deal. It's not, there's no quick fix either. Would you say? There's no quick fix. Nor is it easy.
No. No, it is not. One of my friends has a blog that he runs called Marathon Training for Life, and he asked me to write a article for it. And it was just, tips and things that I'd learned starting out and everything. And, I did the whole, number one, first and foremost, especially if you're anywhere near my size, talk to your doctor. which I did, made sure that he was all on board with me doing 5Ks. The thing with me that I'm kind of confusing to some doctors, because I've never had high blood pressure. I've never had blood pressure issues. I've never had cholesterol issues. I've never had blood sugar issues. All of the normal things that you would associate with obesity. Like if you were go down the list of everything, like all the different blood tests and everything, it's all normal until you get to weight. And that's where I'm out of whack. And so because of that, and he even listened to my heart and lungs, everything there is perfect, and so he was okay with me going out and doing that. And then my next tip that I gave people was listen to your body. Do what you can do. If you can only walk a block, walk a block. But the key is in consistency, because once you get out there more and more, then 1 block turns into 3 blocks, which turns into half a mile, which turns into 2 miles. It snowballs. And the biggest thing for me that you have to understand before you start anything like this is you're gonna fail. You're gonna screw up at some point. You're going to be running late for lunch and have to stop at McDonald's. You're going to, have these things that pop up in your life where you're gonna have to skip your workout, where you're gonna have to skip different things. But the key is not to wallow in those failures. It's not to, man, I can't believe I did that. I don't even know why I'm doing this. The key is to get up, dust yourself off, move forward, get back on with your plan. I mean, once you understand that failure is a part of success, it's only when we get past those failures that we're able to achieve true success, in my opinion. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does.
Totally
You're
makes
so
sense.
speaking our language. Your message is on point for sure. My question is, you tried diets. You did the up and the down and the plateau and the why this isn't even worth it. What changed? What was it about going to the doctor that day and getting on the scale and saying, all right, that's it, I'm done? Was it just a moment of like, I'm done?
I think it was when I saw the number 625. Mm-hmm. When I saw that number, it's like,
did it become just real?
How did I get myself to that number? How did I get myself? Because I hadn't stepped on a scale in probably 3 or 4 years. And when I looked down and I saw that number, I was like, no more excuses, no more blaming your hormones, no more blaming any of this. You need to make a change.
Was there like a pause, like when you saw those numbers? Was it almost like...
Yeah, time kind of slowed down.
Yeah.
It was. I saw that and I was like, "Oh crap!" Yeah, It's like I let myself get to that position, and it's kind of funny because one of the videos because there's been several different videos on the New York Post and everything, but one of the videos, I don't know who writes the headlines for these things, but they used the phrase, he found out he was 625 pounds. It wasn't like
I saw that a lot. I was like, I think he had
it wasn't like I woke up one day, it's like, well, yesterday I was 200, today I'm 625. What happened? It was definitely a gradual thing. It was definitely like a frog in a hot plate kind of thing. Where it was gradual and I was like, I'm okay. And then went to the doctor, 625. I'm not okay.
Yeah, it was like a slow boil.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you just started to boil all over the stove when you got on the scale that day. And one thing that you touched upon earlier was like the consistency, right? So consistent to just get out there, whatever you can do. If it's going to the street like and back, like it's fine. Just get the consistency. Don't beat yourself up because the consistency is everything. But the consistency can go the other way. And when I was asking you earlier about the shift in your life to when you became more sedentary, you were like, I don't know, I just got more complacent. And so it can work in the way where you're sitting on the couch, you're sitting on the couch, you're sitting on the couch, you're sitting on the couch. You're consistent with sitting on the couch. You're consistent with sitting there, plugging in, doing video games, not being outside, not breathing the fresh air, getting whatever your hands are, eating mindlessly. Like, did you find yourself just eating in front? I do it. I totally do it. I try not to, but just eating, not even realizing the amount of calories or what you're putting in your body.
I also found out that I'm a stress eater. And the way that I found that out was is probably 14 years ago, I think, 12 years ago. My dad was in a really bad accident. He used to drive a truck for over the road 18-wheeler, and he used to drive and he was at the time he was on what's called a bid run, where he would go from Springfield to Kansas City and back like 3 times a week. And he was coming back from Kansas City, and his right front steer tire blew on his truck, and he was pulling doubles. And when the right front steer tire blew, it pulled him off the road, and his truck rolled 2.5 times down a 100-foot embankment.
Oh, my gosh.
And he ended up upside down. The truck was upside down. He was hanging by his seatbelt. They got him out of the truck, took him to the local hospital there in Bolivar, life flighted him to Springfield, which is about 30 minutes south of Bolivar. And he was in a coma for 22 hours. His back was broken in several places. And when no matter what age you are, your dad is like Superman. I mean, he is like your biggest hero. And so I was going to college in Springfield at the time, and my aunt picked me up from college and took me over. It's kind of funny now because my dad is deathly allergic to iodine IV. And that's one of the first things they do if you're in a coma is they get you on an iodine IV. And so she parked the car and was running into the ER because we got there right as the helicopter was landing. And so she runs in allergic to iodine IV, screaming at them, telling them don't give him that. And so the first time I walked in, to where my dad was, he's supposed to be your hero. He's supposed to be indestructible. He's supposed to be Superman. And I walked in, and he's got the neck collar on, and everything's pushed up, and he's got tubes coming out of his nose and mouth, and the whole right side of his head is just matted with blood. And I remember looking at him and then immediately going to the waiting room and plowed through a box of Cheez-Its. I mean, I was just sitting in there. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was sitting in the waiting room just throwing Cheez-Its into my mouth. And it was so I very much a stress eater, very much a, so I had to work, he ended up having several surgeries and he's okay now. I mean, he's permanently disabled as a result of the accident. And so he doesn't work. And, it's moments like that remind me that food is very, powerful. It can be very powerful. And so it's something that can be used as a drug in some cases, and the problem with that is that if someone is a heroin addict or a cocaine addict or something like that, the quickest way to solve them of that is to get rid of the drug, to get rid of it completely so that they don't have. But with food, you can't get rid of food completely. I mean, it's something that we need on a daily basis to survive. And so it's not about removing it completely. It's about learning how to eat it correctly and about how to use it for what it's intended, which is fuel for the body.
Oh my God.
And you also talk about soda too. So your soda, what was your soda intake? Before? Because this is something people can, I think, relate to very well.
Mine was the clear sodas, so Sierra Mist, Sprite, not 7-Up. I hated that stuff. But maybe like 4, 5, 20 ounces a day, something like that.
And you were able to stop that?
Yeah. January 1st, because I used it as a New Year's resolution. I was like, I'm not drinking soda anymore. I wanted a complete shutdown of all carbonated beverages.
Right, because it's almost like dangling a little carrot in front of you. Like,
that's almost the drug itself. Soda.
Yeah. Soda's without question. I mean, the food that you, like soda and Cheez-Its, the problem with that food is that it is designed to be addictive.
Yeah.
It is designed to want to make you want more and more and more and more of it. So it hits your pleasure centers, but just like it hits them just shy of you being fully satisfied.
Yeah.
So you want to go back. Have you ever heard of that book, Fat, Sugar, Salt, or Salt, Sugar, Fat? It's those 3 words. It's a really interesting book, and it dives into like the R&D that goes behind sodas and packaged foods and all of the money that's put into them to hit these pleasure centers, like to just stimulate them just enough to keep you wanting more. But you hit on something so potent when you said, the one thing, and I've heard about this with quote unquote food addicts. There's a woman, Chef AJ. She's got a great story. She was a food addict. And she said the same exact thing that you said, that the problem with food is that it's not like heroin where I can live without it. Like I needed to change my relationship to it. And it's the same thing with stress. Stress is going to happen in life. It's our relationship to the stress. That's the core issue. So that moment when your dad was suffered that terrible tragedy and you had to go through it, were you realizing in that moment, or are you looking back now saying, whoa, that was the moment, now I see that I was a stress eater? Or did you feel it in that moment?
Oh, at the moment, no. I just was,
But that's
the Cheez-Its and I was hungry. I mean,
yeah, and it was just it's just
wasn't
vivid.
that I realized that I was stress eating. I mean, it's looking back now that I knew that I wanted to zone everything out, and I wanted to. Cheez-Its are delicious, and I want to eat them and forget about what I just saw.
Yeah. There's no different of what you just described than somebody who's addicted to cocaine or an alcoholic. Yeah. It's the numbing out, right? And so when we wake up, which you have woken up, you woke up for sure that day in the doctor's office, and you're changing your life. And you said it's not easy. It's not easy to make those changes. So what is it when... Have you had these mornings where you wake up and the weather's awful and you just want to stay in bed, but you get up anyway and you go out and you do your training, right? Like this is such a key thing for an athlete, which you are. What is it that gets you out of bed when so many people pull the covers back up and they don't get out and they say, what does it matter? It's just another day of me doing nothing.
I think one of the biggest things that helped me is just the amount of people that I know on social media. I mean, they are a huge encouragement to me, when I'll first thing, everybody gets up and they, open their phone and they look at Facebook and everything. And then, so you have those mornings where it's like, God, I don't want to do anything. I just want to lay here. And then you open up Facebook and you see all these posts from all your running groups where you're like, hey, I got in 2 miles. I get in 3 miles. I get in this. Fine. I will get up and I will go out and do something,
Yeah, you're like jerks. But I mean, how important would you say community is?
Oh, it's so important. I mean, I started my presence on Facebook, and I got invited to all of these running groups. I mean, there's tons of them. And, it's just hearing their stories and, hearing about their struggles and hearing about how they have overcome their struggles. One of my best friend actually, she lives in Little Rock, and she's lost over 150 pounds. I mean, it's just her transformation is absolutely amazing. And she's an inspiration to me on a daily basis. Just her continuing to, to keep that weight off and, continuing to work. And it's just so amazing the kind of transformations that other people have, that have already been on this journey, that are currently on this journey. And so, I mean, it's really like you said, a community of inspiration going back and forth and back and forth. I mean, because, someone may wake up and just be raring to go and pop out of bed and not have a problem and just be anxious to hit the day. And so they want to get out there and they want to, and they'll post their run and they'll, I got up and just felt like a great day. And then there will be days when that same person will need the same encouragement that they just gave other people bounce back to them, that they'll need that encouragement to get up and get out. And so, having these amazing and inspirational people on your Facebook newsfeed every day that just helps you to, we really are a huge community.
I think social media, and we're finding this on this tour, is the driver, is the connector. And I mean, you have to have the story and the will to get out there. But, you know, we've been traveling for 4 months now, and we've been connecting with people, and I'm sure you have as well, on social media. And then you go to an event and you actually meet them. I feel when you finally connect with those people, you get you receive even more power. And that's what the whole point of this whole travel that we're on, this whole adventure, is to bring the community together. And even sharing your story is going to bring more people into the community. And, you know, we're all separated, you know, by miles and miles, but I feel like when we finally connect unique stories one by one, those are long-lasting relationships. And I feel like people can really thrive and use that as motivation to get out in the morning or to do something, to fail, you know, because they see other people doing it. So, you know, as long-winded, I just think social media is such a great connector.
It really is, and it's like everything. It's your relationship to it. But if you wake up in the morning and you don't want to get out there, there's nothing wrong with pulling what you need to pull, right? And so the inspiration could be the fuel, but nobody's going to pull the sheets off and put the shoes on except for you, right? But when we see that other people are doing it, we start to see that, oh, they're having struggle too, or gosh, that was me yesterday. I really loved just getting out there. So I think two things. It's so important to share, like to just really share and be open and be vulnerable, which you absolutely are, but also to pull from when people are doing that, right? And again, it's like this endless line of support and community and inspiration, because when it all boils down to it, Derek, you and me have had the same struggles, right? Like there's times where I do not want to get up and get out. There are times where I have sat in front of the television with potato chips and, you know, that glass of wine too many, just to numb out, to not have to feel what's happening. Like I might look different now and be living a different life now, but that's because I've done the work. That's because I've pulled inspiration from people like you and all the people out there that are doing amazing things, and that we need to share our voices. Absolutely. So I want to get back to the food. I love how you said that food is fuel. And I am somebody, even though I'm little, like I'm somebody that I have a propensity to overeat. It's like my constitution. I can eat myself sick. Like when we were younger, remember we go to parties with our friends and they'd be like, my girlfriends would be like, okay, I would eat myself to sleep. Like literally would eat myself. I would
You were
eat
the first one down.
I was always the first one to sleep. And I'm always just been little, right? So like you were saying, like you've got the weight, but then you don't have any of the symptoms that go along with it. I had I would eat myself to a point where I would fall asleep because I was so full, but I never had the body to reflect that, right? So it's just, it's all different. It's just the package that we're put in. We're the same in our essence. It's something that I work with every day, is to look at food, because I love the food we eat. It's beautiful. It's vibrant. It's by all means healthy, but I can still overeat. I can still eat too much kale salad because I love it so much. And so how did you start to change that relationship to food? Because there was a big shift there, right? Where you were eating it just mindlessly to realizing that it's actually fuel for your body.
One of the big things that I did first and foremost was I tried to, as much as possible, cut back on fast food, cut back on drive-thrus, anything with a drive-thru.
Yeah, the window diet where you pull your car up and
And you know, when I would go out to eat or have food at home, I would the biggest focus for me was choosing healthier options. So I would try to focus on salads, less French fries, more vegetables, that kind of thing. And the other big thing was portion sizes, just change the amount of food that I ate. Oh,
because the portion sizes in this country are ridiculous.
And one of the big things that actually helped me that I found out was whenever I have dinner at home now, we usually have our regular sized dinner plate, and then we have like a saucer plate. And so I switched to putting all of my food on a saucer plate, because it's kind of like a mind thing, you know, because you're like, I'm still filling up my plate. I mean, there's less food there, but I'm still filling up my plate. And so it's kind of a mind thing where it's like, you're still eating, you know, you're still having a full plate. There's just less food because it's a smaller plate. And so that's one of the little tricks that I've learned, that if you want to kind of trick your brain into, you know, eating less food, but still getting the amount of fuel that your body needs, you know, just switch to a smaller plate, you know, and
I think that's such great advice. And that's what I talk to people about when I talk to them about eating more mindfully, is like, we're going to fill our plate. And sometimes plates are huge. Yeah. And so just going to a smaller plate, or if we're at a holiday and our moms have like slaved over like your favorite, you know, like, and you want to eat because you love them. You love your mom and you love, you know, your family, and they've created all this food. And so you feel almost like, if whether it's subconscious or not, like obligated to eat it all. But I think if you go to that smaller plate, finish that, and just wait.
20 minutes.
We started doing that. Like BJ would say that we would just get smaller portions, and again, even if it's healthy, like you can still overeat, like just changing your mindset of food to just be the fuel for this vehicle that we get to walk around in is such a big one. So you stopped the fast food, which is telling me that I'm going to make the assumption that you started cooking more at home.
For the most part, sometimes, you know, I'm at work and you know, I have to go out to eat or anything, or stuff like that. I started trying to go more Subway, you know, with the salads. I don't want to be a spokesperson for Subway, obviously, but their salads are amazing. They're chopped salads, and so I would go like all spinach instead of lettuce, and like all vegetables, like run it through the garden, put all the vegetables on there. And I would still have like chicken or, you know, the roast turkey or whatever. But the other big thing that I found out is, and everybody kind of churns down on Chipotle because of the issues that they've been having kind of recently. Something I don't know, like they have a tofu.
Yeah, sofritas.
Sofritas?
Love Chipotle. And we love it.
And it's funny because whenever I go to Chipotle, those sofritas are so good.
It's so good.
But whenever I go to Chipotle now, it's not even like I want to do this. It just tastes better.
Totally.
Every time I go to Chipotle, I go vegan.
Yay!
I get the sofritas, I get the brown rice, the black beans, the veggies, and the guacamole.
Gotta have the guacamole. Yeah,
doesn't matter if it's extra.
I don't get the cheese anymore. I don't get the sour cream, and it's just it's not like I'm gonna try to go vegan. It's just I like it. It's really good, and it tastes delicious.
We love it. Yay!
You know.
So your taste buds might have changed a little bit, right? Because
that's the other thing that I found out there's foods that I actually like that I don't know if I didn't used to like, or I just hadn't eaten them in a while. One of the big things that we go through at home now, like almost every meal that I absolutely love, is Brussels sprouts.
Oh, they're the best.
I love Brussels sprouts. And, okay, I don't know how you guys cook Brussels sprouts, but I have a little
All right,
trick to it.
And then I'm going to share my Brussels sprout with you.
You follow the package. We do the frozen Brussels sprouts. Follow the package directions, which is to boil them. But almost right before they get done, drain it and fry them in coconut oil.
Ooh,
because
I like
it crisps up the outside, and you still get it's cooked all the way through, but it's crispy on the outside with the coconut oil.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
And something else I found that I actually like that I didn't think I would is asparagus.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think I would like asparagus.
Oh, you're asparagus addict right there.
Over asparagus.
I
He
love
loves asparagus.
I'm like attracted to it in the store. Like I see, I'm like, whoa, hey, where you been?
Well, when I was talking about pub quiz, one of the places that I used to go was a place called Berg and Barrel down in Overland Park, and I was exploring, and I found out they have a salmon arugula salad on their menu. It's a pile of arugula with a big thing of salmon, and then it has asparagus on the top of it, and it has this like honey balsamic glaze or whatever.
Done.
And goat cheese. I forgot goat cheese.
That sounds like a pretty
So
nice
at
dish.
first, I love this. So you're realizing, right? Like we get into these mindsets where we're like, I don't like that, and I don't like that, and I like this, and it's like autopilot,
Yeah.
right? There's no,
Totally,
BJ's raising
autopilot.
his hand right now. Autopilot.
I don't
I mean,
like
I think
anything.
all three of us have been guilty of that. So at first, when you're making these changes, were you gagging down any of your meals? Were you like, this is awful, I feel deprived? Or how was the experience for you? Because you had a big shift.
Towards the beginning, I was really missing soda. Like, I
yeah.
wanted my Sprite.
Yeah, I mean, it's designed to addict you. So you were going through withdrawals.
The fast food thing also. I mean, I still fall off the wagon, so to speak, occasionally, especially if I'm running late at work and I don't have the time, to go out and wait in line at Chipotle or Subway or whatnot, and so I just run through a drive-through really quickly. But
you dust yourself off, and
but
you
even
move
then,
forward.
Like, I've started discovering healthy things at the fast food places that I didn't think existed.
Awesome.
Another one that I found out, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, I used to, their regular chicken sandwiches, the breaded chicken sandwiches, which I don't do anymore because the breading and the whole, everything. Number one, they have grilled chicken nuggets. I've never heard of that before, but it's just basically grilled chicken breast in nugget form. Delicious. They have salads that are amazing with grilled chicken. They have these chicken salad wraps now that are awesome. And, and the other thing that I started going away from is cream-based dressings.
Oh, yeah.
And so
That's just empty calories.
And so I went to like vinaigrettes and, that kind of the oil and vinegar based dressings. But it's just little stuff that you don't even think about. And, they give you the package of the vinaigrette and I would only use like a third to a half of it maybe. And, realizing, and another trick that someone taught me is instead of putting the dressing on your salad, you keep a little thing in a cup and then you like dip your fork in it and then take a bite of the salad. And so you get enough dressing to be able to taste it, but you use far less than you would if you just dumped a thing of dressing on your salad.
These are awesome tips. And I just want to say one thing about fast food is that there is a shift. There is a shift in the menu items, and there are, now there's vegan items, because there's more of a demand for plant-based, because plant-based eating is showing to reverse these common killers like diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure. And so there's a shift. And so every time you go to Chick-fil-A and you get the salad, like you vote, you say, I am Derek Mitchell and I am voting for healthier food. And every time we purchase food at the grocery store, at a restaurant, we can make a shift, right? We can shift it in the direction of health, or we can shift it in the direction of unhealth. And I don't want anyone to underestimate how powerful every single one of their choices are.
And it's kind of funny because when I first started trying to eat healthier, the job I used to work at, one of the managers there was a major plant-based vegan. And so he actually gave me a challenge because I was wanting to try and use because it was at Cabela's. It was outdoor gear and everything, and so I was wanting to see if I could use one of their GoPros whenever I was doing my runs and everything. And he said, "Okay, go vegan for a month." And so I actually went vegan for an entire month, and number one, it's really hard. I'm the kind of person, I love milk. I mean, no, I don't. If that's not your cup of tea, that's cool. I love milk. Morning glass of milk, it's one of my favorite things in the whole world. So that was tough. And the other thing was going out to eat, especially if you go with your family. Number one, it's hard to try and stay to that type of eating regimen. But number two, a lot of the places will actually work with you a lot.
Yes.
And I remember
Absolutely.
while I was doing my vegan challenge, we went to Applebee's one time. and they had this like grilled chicken meal that had vegetables on the side, and it had this like mango chutney or whatever, and also on something else on the menu was a grilled portobello mushroom cap, and it was like this. It was basically like a mushroom steak. It was, and so I was like, "Can I get that with the mushroom?" And they're like, "Yeah, no problem." And so I had like this grilled portobello mushroom. It's so good.
Yeah, you can make it work. So we're plant-based and we've been on the road for a while. And even like in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, remember, like on the side of the highway, I found like, I just wanted some kind of snack, you know? And so I went into the convenience store at the gas station, not thinking I was going to find anything. And I found multi-grain, non-GMO, like tortilla chips. You know, it's not going to give me like the phytonutrients of spinach, but there's like, it's happening. Like there's a change, and you
Even
can make it work.
Day, I prefer bean chips over potato chips. Bonitos.
Yeah, aren't they great?
They're so good.
And the veggie straws.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those yeah.
But
Those you have
the
to eat
change is
mindfully.
happening, and just I think it was yesterday, the day before, I was reading that Tyson invested 5% into Beyond Meat, which is the leading alternative meat product out there. They have like soy-based products and it tastes, the burgers taste like burgers. So the shift is happening, but I also wanted to mention, it sounds like you're becoming super mindful. Like you're there with your food, whereas before it was mundane. It seems like you're so present with your food choices. Like even when you don't have a meal and you don't have time, you know that, you're aware of it, and you do it anyway because you know you can just start again. Like you can just start again. So I think that's a huge shift that I want at least our listeners to understand, that you don't have to go through your day just numbing out. Like you can be there in the moment and select your choices, whether it's the food portion or the types of food you're eating or when you're eating it.
And the other thing that I kind of notice is sometimes I don't know if it's like I felt like I was eating all the time. Like my big thing wasn't I would overeat in a meal. I mean, occasionally I would do that, but my big thing was I would eat a regular sized portion meal, and then like 2 hours later, I would want another regular sized portion meal. Mm-hmm. And it was just, every 2 hours I was, all throughout the day. And so one thing I found that kind of helps me that I do at work all the time, which I think annoys my boss more than anything else, sunflower seeds.
Oh yeah, those are great.
I love sunflower seeds because I can, put it in my cheek, and I mean, over the course of the day, I don't eat very many, but it's something that keeps me going, and it almost helps me focus too. I mean, just kind of having those and it's something that is healthier than constantly eating throughout the day.
Oh, absolutely. And you're gonna get more satiated by it because it's a whole food. Your body's gonna know what to do with it. Like your body doesn't really know what to do with Cheez-Its. It's like, this isn't food. But something like that, like sunflower seeds and all of that, and just over time being able to change your cravings and your taste buds and things like that. Like when you walk into Chipotle and you're like, oh, sofritas,
I'm going to Chipotle for lunch tomorrow.
Done deal. We know what you're getting.
And I'll take a picture on Facebook and I'll tag you.
So yes. So two things. One, the Brussels sprouts. I want to get back to that because I said I was going to share my recipe. Do you ever use nutritional yeast, or have you heard of it?
Never heard of it.
Okay, well, it's kind of like the vegan cheese, right? That's not really, it gives things like a cheesy taste.
Okay.
It looks like fish food, but it's also a really great source of B12, and you can probably get it. There's a Sprouts around here,
yes.
and I bet you can get it at Sprouts.
I knew all about Sprouts when I was on the vegan challenge.
Yeah, you did. And I call them cheesy Brussies. And I just do them like in olive oil. You could do them in coconut oil. I bet that would be good too. Like on kind of a lower heat so they get like a little bit soft. And then, and they're like nice and marinated in the oil. And then you put the nutritional yeast on it and a little bit of salt, and you let them sit in that. And they're just like cheesy, yummy, crunchy. And you know how you get all the textures with it? And the other thing is, so in November of 2014, you got on the scale at 625. You have done, I can't even count how many 5Ks you've done. And that doesn't even matter because you're like training all the time.
47 5Ks.
Oh my God, what's the math on that? What's 47 times 3.1 miles? BJ.
120, 141.
141. So 100, something like that. Somebody's checking the math right now, I'm sure. And you're training, how many days a week are you trying to get out to do that?
I usually try to get out at least 2-3 times a week.
Awesome. And then doing a race on the weekends.
Just about every weekend now.
Awesome.
I have my break over the summer, and so the rest of the year it's
time to get back to work, Derek.
Weekend.
Dust yourself off. It's time to get back to the starting line. And so where are you now in your weight loss journey?
I've been up and down. I've had some up and downs. I think I'm hovering around like 560 right now. So it's been around 60 to 70 pounds weight loss. I was up to like 100, and then I went back down, and everything's been fluid.
So less than 2 years. You've been on this, less than 2 years.
And the other thing that's my doctor said is supposed to help me is that, because when they found my tumor, my prolactin level, which is supposed to be no higher than 18, was 1,500.
Whoa.
And my testosterone level, which is supposed to be between 250 and 800, was 31. So they've had me on the pill to shrink my medication. My prolactin level is down to like 35, which is a much better level than,
that's significant
1,500. Change. It's still got a little bit lower to get down to under 18. But for the past 3 months, they've had me on testosterone replacement therapy. So once I get my testosterone levels up where they're supposed to be, then that should help boost my metabolism and help encourage all the stuff that I'm already doing for my weight loss.
Oh, absolutely. And then I have one more thing that I'd like to throw in there.
Uh-oh.
Yoga and meditation, they increase your testosterone levels naturally in your body.
Really?
So yes. So I will...
My dad and I used to do water yoga at the YMCA.
Oh, cool.
I love it. So think about, let that marinate. And even meditation, that could be waking up in the morning and just taking, it starts with just one breath, just one fully conscious breath, following it with your awareness, like start to finish. You could do 5 breaths. That could move into sitting just quietly for 3 minutes every morning. And just naturally, it helps to balance out your body, your hormones. And especially it's the biggest effect is going to be on stress in the body. And so lowering cortisol levels, which really suppresses your metabolism. Right. So I'm going to put some links in the show notes around that, so you can check that out as well. But you are on the Yogi Triathlete podcast, so we had to throw that in there. What else? You have any final questions?
Talk about the cheesy breasties.
I just did.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The cheesy breasties.
Sure.
All right, so
Where
I have...
you been?
So he was zoning out.
I'm still thinking about Chipotle.
Yeah, totally. You totally.
Is there one near here?
Well, he's going there for lunch tomorrow.
Yeah. How long are you in Kansas City?
We're heading out tomorrow. I know. We could have had...
tag us in your post. We'll be there with you.
Yeah, we'll tag you back because I have a feeling we're going to be going there pretty soon. I've got one final question for you, Derek.
Okay.
For that person that is complacent on the couch, that is, doubtful of their ability to even start, let alone finish, a goal of a change in their lifestyle to be more healthy, someone who is frightened by what their perceived reaction is going to be from other people. What is one thing that they could do tomorrow morning to start changing their life? Or right now, what is one thing they could do now?
What I always tell people is that I've been the biggest out there. I've been the slowest out there. There's been so many races where I have had my cop car buddy following me, opening up intersections right behind me. I've taken tons of selfies with cop cars behind me. The second 10K I ever did, I had a front and back police presence because they had to open up the streets, and so I had a cop car in front of me and a cop car behind me that was protecting me as traffic was flowing around me so that I could finish the race. So I've been the biggest, I've been the slowest, and I can guarantee you that you will find nowhere more welcome, more encouraging, and more positive than out on that course. But the biggest thing that I would tell people is start small, do what you can do. You know, if you can only walk to the end of your driveway, walk to the end of your driveway. Walk to get the mail, take a walk with your dog, go to the park, walk to the first tree you see and walk back. You know, if that's all that you can do, awesome, do that. But be consistent. You know, at least 2 to 3 times a week, get out there, try to hit that tree again. Try to hit that tree again. Once you've done that for like 2 or 3 weeks, try to hit the next tree. You know, try to go around a block, try to go 2 blocks, try to go 3 blocks. But the biggest thing is listen to your body. You know, if something starts to hurt, slow down, figure out what's hurting. Whenever I first started doing 5Ks, you know, my first one, you know, I did one in 2011. It's like 1 hour and 48 minutes. My 5K in March was 1 hour and 28 minutes. My 5K in April was like 1 hour and 22 minutes. My 5K in May was like 1 hour and 18 minutes. And of course I was PRing every time because I was getting into the groove and I was getting into, you know, what I felt like. But I got so focused on, I want to PR every single time. I want to get out there and I want to do this, that I got so focused on that I ended up getting a stress fracture in my foot. Just because I'd forgotten why I started doing that. I was focused on time, PR, speed. I want to get faster and get faster and get faster and get faster. But that wasn't why I started doing this. And I forgot that 5Ks are fun. You know, that's not why I'm out there. I'm not saying it's bad. People want to get up, you know, try to strive for that PR, try to better themselves. That is awesome. Continue doing that. For me, I'm out there to lose weight and I'm out there to finish 5Ks. And some days I'll do better than my previous time. Some days I'll do worse than my previous time. Some days I will heavily unanticipate how hilly this course is, and I will not realize, you know, that it's however many incline from the start to the finish. You know, I will not realize that, and so, you know, I'll have tough 5Ks. I'll have fun 5Ks. I'll have fast 5Ks. I'll have slow ones. But the point is, my foot is crossing the starting line and my foot is crossing the finish line. And that's my goal, is to finish a 5K.
That's such beautiful advice for athletes of all levels. Like, never forget why we do what we do, because it is so supportive and there's such a bigger purpose in there. And it's about the journey, right? Because life is so precious and we don't know when our journey is going to end. And I think you saw that with your dad and that terrible accident. Like, you just don't realize. So savor every breath, right? And keep reminding yourself about why you're doing what you're doing.
And if you see me out there, walk with me. I would love to walk with you. I would take a picture. We can, you know, talk the entire time. I love walking with people and I love meeting people, and I love taking pictures. And so please.
So this journey it's come a long way already.
Yes.
So let's fast forward a little bit. Let's go 5 years from now, and you're listening back to this podcast. Where do you want to see yourself? Is it? Do you want to see 100 5Ks? Do you want to see?
I think 5 years is a good amount of time for me to be part of the 1/10% of the population that has completed a marathon.
Yeah, boy.
I love it.
We love it. Maybe we'll come and do that with you.
If you need coaching, I will coach you through that marathon.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, Derek, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
I
Thank
see
you very much
you
for having
and
me.
I see such a strong, just inspiring, open and willful person who is going to accomplish everything. And I think you are such a blessing in this world and a blessing to yourself. So
thank you very much.
And it's an honor to know you and to sit across from you and have this exchange. And I cannot wait to share you with everyone. So thank you so much. And we're going to keep our eye on your schedule because it seems like you're traveling. And if we see that you're in our area,
we are hunting you down.
We are so going to be there with you.
And Clark too.
Derek Mitchell. Amazing, right? BJ and I were so honored to sit down with such a beautiful soul and share in the exchange that you guys just listened to. And then after we turned the mics off, I have to say, we threw down some yoga poses in our hotel room. It was awesome. Derek is awesome. And I hope you got a feel from that, from our conversation today. You know, everyone is going to take away something different from this conversation and every conversation that we bring you each week. But the key is tuning into those moments, those notes of life that hit you. You know what I'm talking about? The ones that hit a chord and then they create curiosity within you. Keep looking for those in your life. And remember that when they pass through you, they are there because you are to learn from them. Thanks again for tuning in, and please share this podcast with someone you love. Share Derek's story with the intention that putting it out there will create a bigger trickle effect of his purpose and maybe, just maybe, spark the light of change within someone who needs it. Give us some love on social and spend a few moments to share your experience on iTunes. Your reviews are tremendously helpful to the show. And hey, you never know. They may just be a part of your purpose. All right, everyone, I'm sending you the high vibe love from Yogi Triathlete Nerve Center here in Carlsbad, California. So much love to you all.